Business news with mining. The National Union of Mineworkers today saying over 30,000 jobs have been lost in the mining sector over the last 2 years, with more job losses looming. The union has accused the mining companies of speeding up firings and retrenchments to weaken unions prior to this year's wage negotiations in the sector. It says its members continue to report planned retrenchments at operations countrywide, and that mining houses are blaming high labour costs, recurring strikes and weak commodity prices. Well, mining companies have reason to be nervous in the run-up to possible strike action in the gold sector this year, after the strike in the platinum sector last year lasting 5 months. Investors have complained about the implications of crippling strike action, while some believe labour legislation and uncertainty is also leading to the ongoing weakening of the sector. One of the contentious issues is the mining charter and the once empowered, always empowered debate. The mining charter, which demands 26% black ownership for mining companies, is now in the courts. Government says that this figure applies to current ownership, but mining houses are arguing that past deals should also count. This could be a situation where a black partner took a stake in a mine in the past but lost or sold the shares for some reason. Well, to discuss further, we're now joined by partner and head of mining at legal firm Hogan Lovells, Warren Beech. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So, on first view, I would say government is right. 26% means 26% perpetually. You can't have partners coming in and out. But I guess we have to consider that these mining firms have spent money in the past on deals, on subsidizing deals, things like that. Where do you stand?
The mining industry has obviously faced a number of challenges over the last couple of years. One of those challenges has been the regulatory uncertainty, in other words, the chopping and changing of the legislation, the proposed changes, the interpretation and application. The fact that this dispute is going to court, I think, is a step in the right direction.
Well, people are saying that it is good that government and both parties went to court together. So it sounds like there's a major dispute, but at least it's playing out in the courts, and they decided amicably to go to the courts together.
Yes. Again, my view, very, very positive. It's a mature approach to a very tricky question. As you mentioned in the intro, the dispute is very crystallized, very polarizing. On the one hand, you have the department and the minister saying 26% 1 January 2015 is the criteria. The mining industry is saying we started a long time ago. We've invested a lot. The fact that we were not necessarily as mature then as we are now shouldn't be held against us in the way that we structured those transactions.
The Chamber of Mines says if you stick to this, if you say it has to be 26% now, you will lock in BEE partners who may be wanting to move into the mining sector, make some cash and then move out. Do you agree with that?
It probably is correct. It's also very difficult to find partners that can take 26%. The cash, the involvement, the long-term commitment is not necessarily as freely available. So yes, I agree with that, and people should be able to come and go as they require.
Okay, like you say, it's difficult. The mining houses had 10 years, though, to get to this figure. Now, presumably, they've banked on the past deals being counted. If the court finds in the government's favour, will that have huge implications? Then a lot of them are flouting what the mining charter says, basically.
Well, effectively, if the court rules in favour of the minister's approach, then yes. So then the mining houses have to go back to the drawing board, have to start again. They would technically be in breach of the mining charter. There's a whole debate on what the status of the mining charter is. But yes, the mining houses would have to start again. You mentioned in the intro about mining houses being in difficulty, retrenchments, etc. You'd see more of that.
Well, there is a wonder about the status of the mining charter, like you said. Is it law? That's always been the question. If you're in breach of one clause or 10 clauses, can government actually take away your license? Has that ever been clarified?
Well, the debate on the status of the mining charter has not been clarified. So it is something from a legal point of view which is still debatable. If you accept the approach that it is part of the statute, it's part of the MPRDA, then yes, it would be a breach. and there are mechanisms in terms of which the minister can suspend or take away the mining rights and prospecting rights. There are mechanisms. Has it been used yet? No, it hasn't. Can it be used? Yes.
So that may also be tested in the courts.
Absolutely.
If government says we are now going to take action.
Correct, particularly in relation to suspension or revocation of rights. Absolutely. No mining company is going to allow that to happen without a challenge.
What are the implications for investment in both cases, if government wins or if the mining houses themselves win?
Again, one of the major challenges for investors is the regulatory uncertainty. The fact that it's going to court doesn't, of course, necessarily mean it's going to end there. Either party may be unhappy and may take it further. We might see further strikes. The unions have expressed displeasure at the fact that it's going to court, so it's not necessarily going to end
and
there.
Appeals, so there may be more uncertainty in future.
There may very well be appeals against those decisions, but at least it's in the court system. And generally speaking, when things go to court, people's minds are focused, people start talking and looking at things differently.
Okay, so I've noticed you don't want to give your opinion. You're saying let's wait and see what the courts say. There's an even more, some would say, important piece of legislation the relating to gas and oil. The amendment bill, which has gone back to Parliament, been back and forth, which gives government a 20% stake in all new ventures, possibly more. Now that is the very contentious one. Is there anything that can be learned from here that will be passed on to that, or will we still have to see that play out?
Now, oil and gas is a very different scenario. The splitting between oil and gas and minerals or hard minerals, I think, is a very good thing. It was one of those positive steps that the minister took as soon as he took over. Very good to split it, deal with it differently, and I think that the whole approach to petroleum and the government stake in splitting it was very good by the minister. All
right, well, we'll follow what happens in court. Thank you very much, Warren Beech from Hogan Lovells. We'll talk